Welcome to an all-new episode of Much to Do About Nothing. This is the show where usually me and Joel blend our love of all things sports with all things geekdom. But we have now decided to try our hat at an actual official sports show that will be airing this week. We'll be welcoming in Didge from the Geek Set podcast, which, by the way, just found this out when I did the show with Didge on Sunday. Because he lives in Milwaukee, so he's a Bucks fan and everything. So I was like, "Oh, did you enjoy?" I was like, "Yes, Wisconsin." Sorry. I'm like, "Did you enjoy the draft?" And I was thinking like, "Oh, he's gonna tell me about like the Packers." He's like, "Yeah, man, people are shitting on my Patriots draft picks," and I was just like, "Whoa, back that shit up, Didge. What did you just say?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Patriots fan." He's like, "Let me guess, they suck." I'm like, "No, I'm a fucking Patriots fan, Ditch." He's like, "No way." It's like, "Yes, they're so hard to come by. Yes, welcome, hello."
They're not hard to come by.
Yes, that I have outside of Andrew, I have not met another Patriots fan in any walk of my life.
I know like four of them.
Introduce me to them so
no,
we can.
I'm not gonna have that. Yes. I'm not gonna have that growing around me.
Yes, because I can't find them to save my life. We need a Patriot support group, and I would gladly start it, but I don't know any Patriot fans. I had to literally befriend a whole Patriots fan page on Twitter to get my Patriot frustrations out with somebody. So I'm like, now that I know I got Didge, fuck, I just talk to Didge about it all the time. But no, so this episode will be very geek driven. Few shows we'll break down also. How far did you get in Ozark?
I only saw the first two episodes.
No, it's fine. It's still fresh. It only just came out Friday, so that's fine. It's still fresh.
Yeah, I didn't through them anymore, so it's like.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I actually, for the first time ever, spread it out between Friday and Sunday. I didn't finish it till Sunday night. Because I wanted to sit with each episode. So I did like one Friday, I think, because I was busy Friday.
I did one Friday. Saturday. I've had a busy weekend, so I did one today. I have a lot of shows, so I gotta try to fit them all in.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. That show was one of the ones that I'm like, let me while I have it on my mind, because it's gonna be a crazy week this week. Let me get to it. Let me get to it. I was just telling AJ actually that for Wednesday, depending on what comes out, I might rush through that fucking Moon Knight review. It's fucking Star Wars Day. That's a fucking religion day for me. So it's like, yeah, if there's Star Wars news, if there's not, then
there should be something. I don't know how much, but
I mean, I think if anything, it'll just be another Kenobi trailer. I don't think it'll be anything else outside of that. Because I'm like, Star Wars Celebration is right around the corner, so I kind of find it hard to believe that they'll give you a shit ton here only to do a whole celebration. So it's like, I could just see a Kenobi trailer coming. We're in the month of May. They got to really start vamping up promo within the next few weeks. So I could see just a Kenobi trailer this Wednesday. But anyway, we'll talk about that a little later. We got so much stuff to break down. I want to start off with a farewell to what we knew the CW used to be, and what that motherfucker is going to look like soon. It will be purged of all things DC. Now, I did say this before. None of what's happening is shocking in the slightest. With the new regime, it kind of just seems like they want a Feige hands-on approach. Like, remember when they finally signed over everything to Feige? Comics, TV, everything. And we saw Ghost Rider go. We saw that Squirrel Girl show go. We saw, we literally started to see shows just get completely knocked down. Why? Because he wanted his hands on everything. He wanted say-so on what this character does, what that character does. So I have no problems. I think my biggest issue with the CW in the last few years was I kind of felt like there was no plan for what the next phase of the CW would look like. right? So like as you started to phase Supergirl out, Flash out, Arrow out, Black Lightning out, all these characters out, Legends out at some point, I didn't know what your next phase of your future was going to be. We had said that, Joel. We had said that numerous times. Like when Arrow got axed, we said to each other, well, what's the next, right? Like what's the next big thing? And we kind of never got the answer to that. So it's like, well, I mean, the writing was on the wall. This wasn't like, I don't think when me and you heard it, it was just like, no, never saw that coming. It was more so like, oh, okay, maybe a few shows we would have liked to have seen have a better finish, rather than you just axing it. Or a finish, yes.
Like the last few shows, they're not going to get a chance to say goodbye, you know?
Right. And they definitely put us through the Netflix Marvel shows all over again.
Yes, they did.
That is for sure what they did. It was not something I was fond of either, but I did celebrate it, not because the shows got canceled or people lost their jobs. I celebrated it because it means that the new heads of Warner Brothers Discovery have a plan. You don't axe this and then you're just like, well, I don't know really what I want to do. Why would you axe it? Like, I know they're trying their best to sell the CW. I know that. But till that motherfucker gets sold, you put shit out. Or you could have just moved it to HBO Max. So I'm believing you literally just axing these shows is because you want to do more so of what we said made sense, which was if your movies are your bigger names, your HBO Max should be shows of your smaller names that all connect to one big piece of a puzzle. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if that's the game plan, I don't care. Sure, get me to it. Let's. That means when fandom comes, I better hear announcements. Green Lantern, I better hear some shit. You know, maybe a Batgirl spinoff, whatever you want. Like, I better start hearing what the plans are for these shows. But I did tell Sabrina, who is a massive Titans fan, that it seems like we're coming to an overhaul. Like, it seems like there will be a cleansing. It seems like they are not a fan of having to do shows that are all over the place. It seems like they want to get into the frame of what Feige's doing, what Star Wars is doing. Shit, Star Wars is even doing it. They want one cohesive unit, and that's what I'm building around. So I told her, when Titans does indeed get canceled, which I do believe the writing is on that wall, it won't be because the show's bad. It won't be because it doesn't make numbers. Same with Doom Patrol. It'll just be because you just want it under one umbrella. You want to tell one massive story rather than a story here, story there, and a story there. So I pose it to you, Joel. What were your thoughts when you heard that these shows are being canceled? Was it like raise the alarms, or was it more so like, okay, maybe they're getting on the right path here?
Well, I'm not happy about it because I want to at least get a finale. You know, a final season would have been better than just canceling it outright. Like Black Lightning got a chance to say goodbye, you know?
Right.
Whereas we didn't get that. We're not going to get that with Batwoman or at least Legends, because the way Legends ended, I'm like, you can't just now give me Booster Gold and then cancel it. Like, it's kind of fucked up for me as a fan of the character. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what really upsets me, is because they do like something that should have been a character that should have been there from the beginning. They added the last minute, and I felt like that was a desperation move. So that's kind of in my way like saying fuck you. Should have did that earlier. Why it took so long? Especially if you actually had the right to do it, and now you're telling me you could have done it before and you didn't do it. So like, right. It's frustrating, is what it is. As a fan of the universe, and it's a universe I've come to love and enjoy. Because they've done it, you know, they've been able to connect that universe. We've had a universe that connect the universe, whereas DC's in the movies have struggled, you know. Right. So you can always lay on CW for at least a low budget version of that, and you can enjoy what they give us. You know what I mean? We never expected.
I had to defend it again Sunday when we were talking this to AJ and Sabrina, and I go, look, you may not like it. Cool, no problem. But they did things that you look at and you go, they should have been heading towards that in the movies. They were the furthest thing away. And the biggest thing I had to argue with AJ and Sabrina was they kept saying they didn't like the fake Justice League. And I'm like, well, they weren't the Justice League. They never called themselves the Justice League.
They never even had an episode together.
They never had an episode. Right. So I'm like, it was never supposed to be that. And I'm like, here's how you know it was never supposed to be that. The team at that moment was Batwoman, Martian Manhunter, Supergirl, Flash, Black Lightning. Does that sound like a fucking Justice League to you? Like
White Canary.
Black Canary, I'm sorry. Also Black Canary. Sarah.
No.
Oh, White Canary. Sorry. So I'm like, does that sound
Superman, right? So Superman.
No, because I'm thinking, wait, what are you thinking of? Because what I'm thinking of when I say that is the episode where they were laying Oliver to rest. And the lineup that they had there was White Canary, Supergirl, Martian Manhunter, Black Lightning, Flash, and that was it. I swear to God, I just saw it and I didn't see any fucking Superman. Maybe it was just a shot he was out of at the moment or something.
I know, because I sent you that picture because I wanted to see it, so they could draw it in a different way. You remember? I'm like, I want it drawn like this.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna check it out again because I completely forgot that. All right. So yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I said, to me, I don't know, man. Like I said, I think part of me not being too upset about not getting a resolution. I didn't watch Legends, so that's a whole nother story. But for Batwoman was like when I think of the Marvel shows, I'm like, where Luke Cage left off and where Iron Fist left off, I kind of knew where they were going. And it was just the excitement of like, how far into it are you going to go? I remember asking you, what the fuck was that ending of Batwoman? I didn't know what the fuck I was looking at.
It was definitely open-ended.
100%. So for me, oh, by the way, really quickly, to a side note, Edge and Damian Priest just beat up AJ Styles, and out came Finn Balor, and they did the club thing. So one or two things are about to happen. Either they're gonna build the club with just those two and make that like a faction, or Finn Balor is gonna fuck over AJ Styles, and then it'll be Edge with Damian Priest and Finn Balor, which we talked about before, and I would not hate that at all. It would give Finn Balor something to do, Damian Priest something to do.
You got now three different leaders of Bullet Club in WWE now.
Yep.
Cody's here now, so it's like, I'm like, okay,
which is so weird. And I might be watching AEW within the next 2 weeks because Roderick Strong just asked for his release from WWE. So that means the Undisputed Era will become complete. So I'll definitely have to check
they're already calling themselves the Undisputed Elite.
I guess they can't say era, but I thought they were called the Undisputed Era before they came to WWE.
No, they were not a team technically. Well, they didn't have a name,
two of them were a team at the time. It was only Kyle. Yeah, only Kyle.
Which
and
they call themselves
Bobby
in AEW Red Dragon. So they got those names. They use those names again.
Undisputed Elite. I don't mind
because this guy is part of the Elite.
Got you.
With the Bucks, and so Red Dragon has been integrated. So now they're the Undisputed Elite.
All right, yeah, okay, all right, fuck it, I don't hate it. Well, the Undisputed Elite will now be fully complete when Roderick Strong makes his way over there. So I'll be very fucking excited for that. But to get back to it, so I didn't know where Batwoman was going, so it was more so of the trailer was going to sell me completely on the season, or just castings like it usually does. So that was more so like, I didn't know where you were going. So I kind of feel like since I didn't know anything, I'm not really missing anything. Like, yes, would I have preferred a proper conclusion? 100%. But the Netflix Marvel shows hurt because I know the direction they were going. I just never got to see it fulfilled. So that shit fucking hurt me to my core. I just tagged Cheo today and was just like, Disney Plus. Fucking call Cheo, man. Get this Luke Cage shit on the move. What the fuck is taking so long? I was also saying that like one thing I would really love to see is whenever we do get Heroes for Hire, I do want to see the comics brought to life. I want to see Luke Cage and Iron Fist on top of a scaffolding, eating hot dogs, and then Spider-Man just drops down. Just as a cameo. He has nothing else to do with the show, just a cameo of three of New York's biggest names, just sitting on the scaffold and just eating a hot dog. So I thought of that and was just like, I definitely got to pitch that to Cheo if he gets greenlit for Luke Cage. Like, Cheo, do that. Do it. But no, I'm just really happy for what seems to be heading to cohesion. So my question to you is, Joel, do you feel as though Superman and Lois, Stargirl, Titans are safe? And Doom Patrol also are safe? Or do you think they'll let this next season play out, and then they'll probably just scrap everything, start fresh, and just build around the movie universe and let it trickle down into HBO Max?
I don't know. It just seems like they're more. We saw the writing on the wall with CW because of the fact that they're trying to sell the CW shows. So a lot of the lower ranked shows that are not doing it as well we're going to get cut regardless. But then, like, it really depends. Like, what do they do with the new Gotham Knights show that they were filming? That they're literally filming right now.
Mm-hmm.
Did they can it? Well, before it, they even get green. Did it ever get shown on CW? Like, ever?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
So it's like, what's you had Justice U in the works. What are you gonna do with that? Is that gonna ever be a thing now?
Well, last I heard on that, Joel, it was, remember how the Green Arrow spinoff that they were gonna do with his daughter was never taken to order. It was kind of just, it was being shopped.
Trust me, I was following.
Right. So I think the Diggle show will end up being that, because I'm like, if you're canceling everything else of the CW, his show makes even less sense now. Because I'm like, all right, so you're gonna reintroduce him, right? And then it's like, you still have to explain the ring, but now it's like, if you fulfill the ring, there's no other CW to see him be placed with. So unless his character trickles into the DCEU, which we believe will not happen, I have no interest in seeing anything else from Diggle if there's no CW DC universe. So I'm like, that should go. And maybe Gotham Knights, what you could do is see if it works, and if it does, scrap it and let Gotham Knights be an idea you use down the road when you introduce a Nightwing or a Tim Drake or whoever else, where it makes more fucking sense, right? Your roster makes more sense. Maybe you just see if the premise of it works, if fans get behind it, and then just do it the proper way down the line. You know, you don't have to completely scrap it, but scrap that shit. Like, scrap what you were doing for that. And look, Joel would be happy. He doesn't give a fuck about Carrie Kelly. So Joel's like, any chance to get rid of that fucking name, you got a smile on my face.
I was interested to see what it looked like, though. And I was curious as to the look of the show, where it was going. It's good to get different variations just once in a while. If this really is leading toward more cohesion, I'm all for it. But again, until I know that for a fact, now it's just like you're cutting shit to cut shit. And if you're telling me, look, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I'm cool with that. Fine. We have a plan. But those motherfuckers never tell us they have a plan. They just do shit. So it's like,
that's exactly right.
Now it just seems like you're just cutting shit to cut shit. And it's like, hope we all have a better plan than that. Because, like, I was enjoying those CW shows. Like, sucks.
Yeah. And look, like I said, me and Joel are big time defenders of the CW. It is nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. I told Sabrina, you can't shit on CW and tell me you love everything about Gotham, because I would say that there is there is some confusing shit that happened up in Gotham that I believe is just. And then she's like, well, yeah, Sabrina was like, well, I didn't like the costumes of the CW. And I was going to say, well, I didn't like that Batman suit. I didn't like that Batman suit.
The Batman suit was trash.
At all. Batwoman suit. Batwoman suit, I'm sorry, was better than Batman suit.
Oh, yeah. CW had some good suits. It had some bad suits, but it had some good suits.
And I yelled at them, and I had to apologize immediately after. I was so passionate about it. I'm like, are you not looking at Barry's suit right now? That fucking suit is beautiful. What are we talking about right now? That suit is beautiful. And I'm like, if you like Dick Grayson's suit in Titans, how do you not like Black Lightning's suit?
Right.
I don't understand. They're visually exactly the same thing. I'm like, there's nothing about Dick Grayson's suit that's like, oh, that's far. His Robin suit, though.
Oh, superior.
His Robin suit, I'll give you that. Nobody on the CW. Awesome. Yeah, no one on the CW has ever come close to how beautiful that fucking Robin. Yeah, them too. Yeah. So again, like I said, it's more so of, and again, I believe everything we see. I believe Doom Patrol's on this last season. I believe Titans will be on this last season. They'll let it come out, and then they'll just completely say, nah, get that shit out of here.
We'll see. We'll see, because then they have to fill those gaps now.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I believe that they'll just try to connect a lot of these movies and just give them shows. Like, I believe a lot of what comes out of Black Adam could be a show. Obviously, nothing to do with Black Adam, but the rest of those members could. Atom Smasher could have a show. Fucking what's his name? Dr. Fate could have a show. So I'm like, they could do so many, and you could definitely sell Pierce on a 6-episode season. 6-episode season, sorry. So I'm like, it's not even like you had to do 20-something episodes. I think that's what they're trying to get away from. Is that, like, look at what Marvel's doing right now. They don't have 20-something episodes. They don't even have 10 episodes of shit. The highest they usually go is 8. I think What If might have broken that mold, but that's animation, so that's animated. Right. Exactly. So to me, like I said, this is only a head scratcher if we get to Fandom and nothing is announced. If we get to Fandom and nothing is announced, then it's like, okay, same old shit. But if we get to Fandom and they're like, yeah, we got rid of all that because A, we're selling the CW, and whoever we sell it to probably doesn't want these expensive shows. And B, we do want to just start over, you know, like we said before. One of the heads of creatives was saying, you know, we want to put value back into Superman. And when you hear that, you're like, well, you're already off to a really good fucking start. Because we were trying to figure out a way to accept a future with no Superman. So it's like, as long as you understand that that's not what any of us want, we're on the same page here.
No, absolutely. They're saying the right shit, but like at the same time, like we need to see, you know, you got to show us that you know what you're doing. You know, right. It's good to say, like I said it before, like you can say all the good shit you want, but if you don't start showing me what you're gonna start like giving me results, you're like, all right, we'll see, because now you have this coming out, and this is all going this way. If it's not gonna go that way anymore, I want to see it. Show me.
Right. Yep. And look, like we said before, unfortunately, it's a new regime. And as much as me and you want to give it props for being a new regime, you got to show us that you're different from what we just saw.
Right.
Right. You don't have the benefit of the doubt of us to just go, it's a new regime. We can trust them. We can't do that. We can't do that. Sorry. Like, it sounds really douchey. I'm sorry. I don't mean for it to, but the last regime really left us completely fucked. To the point to where it's like
actually really fucked us.
Yeah. So now we're at a headspace to where it's like, bro, if you want us to trust you, you really got to show out. You really, really, really have to show out. And what we mean by that is we need results. There is no more, well, just wait. Nope, you don't got that shit no more. Ain't no results. So I am sad to see them go. Javicia was awesome. I hope she lands on her feet with another big project.
Very disappointing.
She does have great star power. That entire cast is awesome. But again, I saw the writing on the wall a while ago, right after Arrow left, and it kind of seemed like they were not trying to replace it with another big name. It was kind of just like, well, I don't really seem sure on what you guys are doing going forward, so whatever. But all right, is there anything else you wanted to add about it?
About the CW?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not all gone yet. It could always live on in the comics, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like right now, there's a comic out called Earth Prime, which is set in that universe. So, I look forward to seeing if certain stories don't get told there, maybe they get told in the comics. I'll be cool with that, you know. It'll be missed. It's good to have had something on the side when things weren't working out in the movies for a long time, you know. So I look forward to seeing them restructuring the DC universe, and they're gonna have their chance really next year to just start from that reboot, soft reboot. Like it's in the Flash movie. That's why people are upset, because they're changing things. Change it the right way and people will be upset.
Right. Or like I said, or my biggest thing is just fucking get the balls and say, I want to start completely over. I want to start completely over.
It's not about balls. You understand they have prime IP with prime actors in those positions to say goodbye.
No,
after them bringing them to the glory with Wonder Woman and Aquaman. You have to think about those two characters. There's a lot of money in those two characters. You can't just say goodbye to them.
I believe you give Aquaman his third, you let Wonder Woman's third come out, right? And then you just say it's a whole new universe I'm spurning now. Because to me, I kind of feel like, yes, will people be butthurt? 100%. But we see people butthurt every day when it comes to the DC universe. So to me, the best way to do it is just to restart and start from the Batman. Start from there, build down. But build the right way. Like, do the Batman, do Martian Manhunter, do Flash, do shit like that, then build up to Superman and Wonder Woman. Let that be the last, or in Green Lantern, let that be the last of the assembling of the team. But let those alien gods kinds come towards the end. Go more grounded to start, and then work your way up to that. But to me, the way you're at now is like you're still having to piecemeal now. Even if you get things where you want it to be, it's still piecemeal.
But it can be done. It can be easily done. They just put their foot in their own ass most of the time.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you at all. But like I said, the way, for me, this is just my opinion, the way I feel as though they can get the shit on the right track is when you tell me there aren't multiple Earths. When there's one Earth that I'm paying attention to, and that one Earth has a Batman and a Superman in the rest of the Justice League, that's what. Now, if you want to do it with the current roster, no problem. No problem. But I need a Batman, a Superman, and then everything else. And if you can give me that, how you do it, irrelevant. Just needs to be done. So I'm with you there. It can be done. It can be done. But like I said, I do want the new regime to realize, yes, it made money. Yes, people will still go see that shit. But it is very frustrating to be watching a Batman here, a Batman there. Just give me a Batman here. That's
I don't disagree, but like, you've already told this dude you're not connecting his movies to anything. To go back on that, it's another issue. So it's like,
yeah, but to me,
ass from the beginning.
We were talking about this Sunday, and I was saying, to me, you can still fulfill that promise you made to Matt Reeves, because again, Matt Reeves doesn't have to do anything Justice League related in his movies, right? So like Robert Pattinson's Batman can pop up in the Flash's movie, in Superman's movie, in Martian Manhunter's movie. He never has to connect any dots. I try to remind people all the time, we saw a Black Panther movie that did not connect to an end credit scene. It literally did not connect to an end credit scene. And I had to tell someone Sunday, because I keep hearing this on Twitter, and I'm like, I really think people didn't really process the cartoons when they were younger. To say I don't see how a Justice League universe works in Matt Reeves' world, I will say this again. Batman in Gotham, dark. No one else needs to be dark. So you don't bring the Justice League to Gotham. That does not happen. You bring Batman to where the Justice League is. That's the difference. So when people are like, I can't picture it in that world, you're right. You'll never see a Martian Manhunter in that world. You'll never see a Superman in that world. You're not supposed to. He's supposed to go to where they are, whether that's in space, Metropolis, wherever else the fuck it is. They don't come to Gotham. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that. That was my issue with Zach. Visually, everyone looked the same. And it's just like, Zach, you have to know you can't do this. Like, something in your head just has to tell you they can't all look. It's not a uniform. They don't wear a uniform, Zach. So that's why I'm saying, to me, when you do it the right way, you can do it to where you still appease Matt Reeves. You're not putting the pressure on him. You're not making him do Justice League or bigger world building. You're just using his character elsewhere and letting him worry about just what he wants to worry about. So I'm like, there's a way to do it. And look, if he doesn't want to, as much as it will really break my heart, he's got to fucking go. He's got to go. Look, he's got to go. His Batman's too good for me to be worrying about. He can only play with Batman characters. Nah, fuck all that. We got that shit with Nolan's world. Remember that? Remember there was a brief time when Batman Begins came out where people were like, yo, what would ever happen if they mix maybe Brandon Routh's Superman with Christian Bale's Batman? And then it immediately by Christopher Nolan was snuffed out as no.
Well, he was a producer on Man of Steel.
He was, right. He was. But notice Man of Steel came out after he wrapped up his trilogy. He was like, I'm going. You can do whatever the fuck you want now.
Trust me, if they wanted to, they could have put his Batman into that universe. It's just what Chris. I don't think Chris was gonna do it.
No, I don't think he was either. And look, like we said, that's why, again, to your point of when you look at what Gale and Jason Momoa have done to their prestigious characters, I don't disagree. But look how fondly we look back on seeing Christian Bale pass the baton to Ben. Right? And then seeing Ben pass the baton to Robert Pattinson. So I'm like, at some point it will happen, and I believe it will happen soon. I believe with the new change around, they'll want to move into the new direction.
I hope it does happen. I don't believe it'll happen soon.
Like I said,
optimistic, and I'm an optimistic person.
When I say soon, I mean Jason gets his third, and Gale gets her third. So after that, I could 100% see it going that way. But look,
we haven't got Jason's second yet.
Say it again.
It's gonna be a while. So we haven't even got Jason's second yet. So
100%. They haven't even gone into production on her third. So yeah, right. That's why I said it could be a ways from now, but something that's part of the plan. And look, we'll find out very soon because they said they want to do Superman. So it's like, well, are we supposed to ignore what the Flash is supposed to be?
Exactly. So this is your chance to rejigger the ending there.
Right, exactly. So that's why I said if we don't hear about any reshoots and they stick with it, it's a very good chance they just let it all play out and then just scrap it all. And just say, I'm gonna start over. We wanted to let it finish itself out, and then we wanted to start over. So that's why I'm saying that's a possible scenario. Of course, down the road, but a very possible scenario. All right. So let's move on. I just spoke to Tia. Her and Dom just left their special screening for Doctor Strange. And of course they're raving. Yeah. They're raving. All right. So I want to go to this, Joel. My question to you. Wait, what'd you say?
So, oh boy.
Yeah. Tia's already telling me her lips are sealed. She's not saying nothing. Which is funny because I wholeheartedly believe Kanan has asked her every possible question of that movie, and she's told me. I just know Kanan too well. But I wanted to ask you about this because this is very interesting.
No fucking patience.
Look, I don't either. I don't either. If I wasn't doing this show, I would be asking Tia every possible question. But Oscar Isaac spoke about X-Men Apocalypse, says he doesn't disown it. Quote, I still think back to that time with fondness. I wish it would have been a better film and that they would have taken better care of the character a little better, but those are the risks. So my question to you is, Joel, if they did Apocalypse visually correct, could you have stomached that movie if nothing else about that script changed, but he just looked better? Could you have could you have stomached that movie more?
Yeah, easily. If he looked a little better, of course. I mean, I didn't hate that movie. I just didn't like. I think they didn't do a good job with him, like his character. The story was a little fucked up too. So it's something you always want to see. Apocalypse and his 4 horsemen. What the fuck was that Archangel? What was that? Like, I don't understand. Like,
there were a lot of questionable decisions.
It's questionable. Like,
you know, it's funny. You know what my biggest issue about that movie was? Like, obviously, outside of how he looked like fucking Ivan Ooze, my biggest issue was you had Quicksilver standing right next to Magneto, and I never got the payoff of that. Never got the payoff of that. Do you know how frustrating that shit is? He had his son, and I got no payoff. No payoff.
Yes, I do.
Very frustrating. I was so angry. Oh, look who just attacked Mustafa Ali.
Okay.
Right? Finally giving him something to do. Yeah, I don't look back on that too fond. But we were talking, and this is a question I'm gonna pose to you. I was asking everybody Sunday, what is the future Marvel project that you're looking forward to? And I think Sabrina was saying one of the characters she's looking forward to is Polaris. And I said, yeah. I said, I think she's a huge The Gifted fan.
I love The Gifted.
Yeah.
But
no, I told you before, Polaris is 100% what I was looking forward to, because I don't believe Quicksilver will be back. So I'm like, Magneto should have a fucking child. If you're going the route that Wanda's not his kid, he should have a child.
We don't know
that leaves Polaris. We don't know what.
That they're not going to connect the two.
Oh, no, we don't. I'm only speaking for the information we have currently. And the information we have currently is we don't know. So I'm going with, since I don't know, let him have an actual child that I do know of and let it be Polaris. Because I would like to see that relationship between Polaris and Wanda. Especially if Wanda isn't a blood child, but a child that Magneto does take in. I could very much see it still play out that way. Where it's not his actual daughter, but he, it kind of takes her under his wing as if she were. I had no problem with that. He just needs a child if it won't be Wanda, and that should 100% be Polaris. So I'm curious. I'm pretty curious. Now, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, go ahead.
Now this did cause some stir today. Moon Knight's official page on Twitter announced this episode coming up this Wednesday as the season finale, but Marvel Studios Twitter page announced it as the series finale. I do believe if you go back to Marvel Studios, they have retconned it to where they both say season finale.
They've edited it.
Right. But I am very curious because we were of the mindset we could see a possibility to where this was just a one and done, and Moon Knight will probably get a movie going forward, not now, but sometime down the road, or just will pop up in numerous different shit till we get Midnight Suns.
That's how I take all these shows until they tell me differently. They're all one and done until I hear it differently. That's how I like it.
I mean, because remember, heading into WandaVision, they didn't call that a series finale. They didn't call Falcon and the Winter Soldier a series finale. No. They called it season finales and then proceeded to tell us, like, oh, Captain America's getting a movie now. And it's like, well, did you want to not wrap that up? Like, did you not want to call that a series finale? Then they're like, no, season, and now he's getting a movie. Stop asking questions. And it was like, oh, well, fuck it. Okay. No more questions to be asked. So how do you look at that? Do you look at that as a mistake, or do you see one as a possibility that this is a series finale or a season finale?
I think it was a mistake, especially if they corrected it. I'm like, oh, I guess it wasn't a season. I don't think that matters. I think it's whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to necessarily be the last season, but do we need another season? Not necessarily, unless they feel like they need to tell us another story that's going to take a while.
Right.
We could also just get a movie. That's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, look, as long as, and shout out to Blake, because he won't be able to be on the show this Wednesday. He'll be at Disney World, so he'll be sending me a video to play of his thoughts on the episode. But like Blake said, as long as it ends with Moon Knight will return, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm completely fine. Because I doubt
that character and then say, throw him away.
Right, yeah. And it would make no sense if Oscar Isaac's like, hey, yeah, I'll do it. One condition. What's that? You can never use his character again. He ends with me. It's like, wait, what? Like, that's a really specific ask. So yeah, I'm very much under the impression that it will end like that. I just can't wait to see how it ends. We did get some news. Embracer Group has acquired Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. Huh?
Eidos.
What did I say? Eidos? Yeah. Eidos Montreal and Square Enix Montreal for $300 million. Now, that all sounds great. I want my fucking Sleeping Dogs Part 2. Give me that. That's all I asked for.
I don't know what any of that means. I don't know. What does that mean? They bought it, so.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That means nothing to me. I want to hear game announcements.
I have no idea what that means. As long as you don't stop production on their shit, I don't care.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To me, when I hear that, first thing I thought of was, okay, I want now my Sleeping Dogs 2. I want a new Tomb Raider. Like, I want all this good shit. Like, that's it. That's all.
When
I'm
I
saying.
think of Square Enix, I think of Final Fantasy. So like whatever they do there.
Oh yeah, I've never played that game.
Man, well, the disappointment continues. So it's like,
I know what you want from me.
broaden your horizon. That's all I want.
I'm just telling you, I never played it as a kid, so I grew up in
Not
life.
like you can't learn.
Just never. Things. I have to have an interest in it. So give me a trailer or something that could maybe give me.
They're all different games. So
that's what I'm saying. Just give me any trailer to launch me into it, and I'll launch into it. But if you just ask me to do it on my own, that's not happening.
They just did the Avengers game and the Guardians game. So
yes, yep. And apparently they're giving us. I really think they don't understand what they're doing, but okay, as long as it's good, I don't really care. But the fact that they gave us 2 Archers in a row, and we're about to get another Thunderer. We're about to get another Thunderer.
But at least really that's spread out. Like we got Thor in the initial cut.
Fair.
Now we got like a year and a half later, we got Mighty Thor. Okay, cool.
But it is.
But we got Clint and Kate right next to each other. That was bad.
That is bad, but it still is a bad look to know that I already have a Thunderer. You're just doubling down.
They're gonna do that. I didn't even know she was coming.
How did I not get Captain Marvel? Like, where the fuck is Captain Marvel?
That's gonna take more time, and it's gonna take its own. Like, Black Panther is gonna take its whole thing. It's gonna probably be.
I'm gonna just say this. I hope this Avengers game doesn't turn out to be the new Grand Theft Auto. Don't keep giving me add-ons instead of giving me a whole new game. Just give me a whole new fucking game. Come on.
They gotta say they're gonna want to do a new game first. But I don't know.
That would be nice. Goodness gracious, I feel like they're gonna give me the whole fucking Marvel roster before they announce a new game. And by then, it's like, well, then what will be fun of the new game? Mm-hmm. Like, the characters are the thing that's fun about that. But if I didn't play with the whole damn roster,
you gotta change things.
Right? Shit. Now I can see where the add-ons for the new game would be like Moon Knight, Luke Cage, Daredevil, shit like that. Because I'm like, at this point, that's the only other place you can go. You're giving me the whole Avengers lineup.
No, well, that right now you're getting the main characters and their clones. It's easy to create clones because they're basically just tweaked clones.
Well, if we could get Spider-Man, I would have appreciated if we got Ant-Man. You already introduced him in the game. To not make him playable is just like, are you trying to not make sense? He was in the game.
I mean, that's the thing. It depends on how long it takes them to make these characters. But like, remember when it first came out that they had all these characters going to be playable? Mm-hmm. Ant-Man was on the list.
He was.
She-Hulk was on the list. There was a lot of clones, but there was a lot of regular and like characters too. Right. Like Mighty Thor was not on the list, so that's new.
Yeah, that seems like something that, because of the popularity of this movie that's coming out, definitely took precedence. But yeah, I'm just saying, if you want to do clones,
probably quick to do because it's more like a skin swap.
Right. Right. My biggest thing is more so just, if you want to do clones, that's fine. I get what you're saying. It's essentially just a copy and paste. But I would just want to make sure that they have a lot more original characters than they have clones going forward. Is all especially if this is something that's going to last for a while. That's all I ask for. All right. Let's move on. Excuse me. Let's see. The Wonder Twins movie is rumored to be no longer moving forward at Warner Brothers. I imagine whoever the head of creative is over there walked in a room and said, all right, what do we got up next? Wonder Twins. All right, get out. Get out. Take that movie with you. Yeah, okay. Someone that makes more sense coming here. Like, I want big names. So what is Wonder Twin shit? We do that once we set the stage of our main universe. Then we have fun with shit like that. You don't lead with that. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? So what are your thoughts on this, Joel? I do know that this was something that, if it was happening, you would be looking forward to. But is this more like, oh, damn, that sucks? Or like, all right, whatever.
It does suck because I was looking forward to it. But again, it's just a rumor at the moment.
Right.
But if that's true, that they went in there and like, how is this? How are they getting a movie and we still don't know what the fuck we're doing with Superman? If that's the case, that's awesome because that's exactly the right reaction to things. You know what I mean? But we don't know that for sure. Like right now, again, you're just canceling something. What are you replacing it with? Once you tell me what you're getting in return, I'll be more excited and I'm more happy about you cutting shit. But as of right now, you're taking something away that's already casted. Not that something is on the board and you're like erasing. You're erasing something that was going to was going to film soon.
Right. That's why I told people you don't have to be worried about when it comes to Warner Brothers right now, or Warner's Discovery. I really got to get used to that. What you don't have to be worried about is if something was already filmed, shot, and is done, and they're now in their post-production, it's not getting canceled. Now, they can choose to not continue with it after the movie comes out, but they're not going to can it. And I said the best example is Feige could have easily thrown New Mutants in the garbage and said, you know what? It ain't me. It ain't my money. I don't give a fuck. Throw it away. Warner only merged. They weren't bought out outright. So that means it's still essentially their money that you're just throwing in the garbage. It's your money you're throwing in the garbage. So no, it makes no sense to just throw a fully done movie away. They'll do it, but if it's something that only is in the early stages, like just casting and shit, they are taking a blowtorch to some of these things. They don't give a fuck. But if it's done, they're like, well, there's no harm. Just put it out. Put it out. Right. Let's see what it does. Maybe that's one of the assets we want to keep. Right. You don't waste money on it then. and it's like something like Blue Beetle. If you look at it, like let's say Blue Beetle is something you don't want to utilize, right? Let it come out, and if it makes you a shit ton of money, that's one of the pieces that you can keep, and it'll make sense. Like it won't be one of the head scratches. Like, how is there a Blue Beetle in this new DC universe? Like, no, that's a character that could easily exist, right? Now, what you can't do is give me a Barbara Gordon that's in her early to mid 20s, right? Keep that. She has an old Bruce Wayne, and then you merge Robert Pattinson's Batman in the DC universe, and then go, well, we can keep an older Batgirl and an older, in a same age Batman, because then you go, well, no, that is weird. There's no need to do that. That could have been scrapped, and you just start that over. So there are things that make 100% sense to keep if you want to. So just let it play out for some of these things. Ian, aka Palpatine, says there's a certain show coming soon set right around the time I may have been considered to be very active. Whether or not you'll see my physical body, I cannot comment on, but you'll certainly feel my presence. Now, I already assumed he was talking about Kenobi, but I immediately... Wait, say it again?
I said, oh no, I wasn't.
What were you thinking of?
I was thinking Acolyte.
I was too. I went right to Acolyte because he's supposed to be. Here's the thing. He's not active because you still have Plagueis the Wise that's active. He's just his underling. So I'm like, the Kenobi makes all the sense in the world, but I don't want an Acolyte show that does not have Plagueis or Palpatine if it's in the same timeline. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you. I immediately jumped to that. But here's the only reason why I immediately said Kenobi, Joel. When he said, whether or not you'll see my physical body, I cannot comment on, but you'll definitely feel my presence. As soon as he said that, you know what that means? Vader's going to do this with his hand. Palpatine's going to pop up and talk to him. Yeah. So it's like,
physical body. That's what gave it away. Like, right. You'll see a hologram maybe. But
exactly. Yep. And remember, it could even be as soon as the Inquisitors, because remember they answered directly to was Tarkin and Palpatine. They didn't answer directly to Vader. They weren't directly under Vader. They sometimes worked with him, but they were never directly under Vader. So I'm like, that also can make all the sense in the world, where they're talking into Palpatine. But under no circumstances should you have an active Darth Vader and there's no Palpatine. Like, are you trying to not make any sense? Like,
Obi-Wan takes place during a time when Vader is who? The apprentice of.
Exactly right. So that's why when he said, it takes place in a time where he's very active. Well, were you more active than you were during the timeline that this is set in?
There was no time you were more active than during that time.
Yeah, I'm like, you're the shit right now. So I'm like,
yeah, it's true. He was the man at the time.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, that makes all the sense in the world. But I love that you said that because I was right with you. Immediately I said Acolyte.
First thing that popped in my head, I was like, oh, that'd be cool.
So I am 100% with you on that, Joel. And he better fucking be in there. But all right, so we talked about it a little bit, Joel, but John Watts stepped down from Fantastic Four. And then in the same article, Sony was saying that they fully expect John Watts to return for a fourth Spider-Man film with Tom Holland and Zendaya. So I'm like, now it makes all the sense in the world that he just stepped down, because it's like, well, to do Fantastic Four means that I can't do Spider-Man. And I think at the end of the day, he just made a decision.
It's just overkill. Because it's like, all right, I do Fantastic Four. It's a new trilogy, and I gotta finish, and I might start the new Spider-Man trilogy. I need a break.
Right. And look, John Watts breaks Joel's number one rule. Joel's number one rule is one man should not do everything. So if Tom Holland can't be everybody, John Watts can't direct everything. So I am very excited to see what fresh face will come in and do the Fantastic Four. Because albeit I will never argue that John Watts could have given me one of the greatest Fantastic Four stories ever. But to me, I could very easily be saying the same thing for whoever the next director is. So you got to give them a chance. You got to give them a chance to be able to do it. I think the reason why a lot of fans jumped on the John Watts bandwagon is it was right after what a lot of people considered the greatest Marvel movie to date. So I'm like, it very much was just like, well, I saw him deliver the greatest thing ever with one of the greatest characters ever. So that'll easily translate to Fantastic Four. And albeit, I don't disagree. I'm just saying, if the Russo brothers weren't given an opportunity, where would we have been with Endgame, Infinity War, Civil War, Winter Soldier, right? So it's like, just give new people an opportunity. Let's see what they can do. You know, look at the superstar James Gunn has become from just Guardians, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm very much of the mindset of just give them an opportunity. Just give them an opportunity. You feel the same way? Is this more so like you're glad he's getting the rest he needs and we can maybe now get a fresh face to be the new director?
I'm not gonna go out and say I'm glad, but I'm gonna say, you know, if he's gotta do what he gotta do, I'm not upset by it. You know, I understand there's definitely another director that can definitely do the job. I'm not like, he's the only one that could do it. Is it? I don't believe that. So I'm good. If he needs a break, cool. Fuck it. I'm good. I understand that. That's a good excuse. You've been working a lot lately, so I'm not gonna complain.
Right. And what I meant by excited was more so just that he's getting the break that it seems like he needs. Not excited that he's gone. Because, you know, you're never excited to see anyone lose a job, have anything taken from him or anything.
And I'm not saying it happened like overnight either. It was probably they've known this for a while. It just took a while to, maybe they already hired someone. They're just, now they're telling us he's leaving, and then they'll tell us whenever when he's
right. I more so took it as he probably did this media round from November to January. And he probably finished that shit and called Kevin and said, hey, yeah, no.
Or is it even a coincidence that this came out a week before Doctor Strange came out?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. All right, Joel. Speaking of cancellations, this is something that I know will definitely hurt you because you did enjoy the show for what it was. Space Force is gone after 2 seasons. How you feeling about that?
Disappointed. I enjoyed it. I really did. I guess maybe I enjoyed the cast more than the actual show itself, but I did enjoy it for what it was, and so it was a little disappointing to see it go.
Right. I told you I gave it a shot, and it just didn't hit me. So I have nothing bad to say about it. It just wasn't for me. And I said that Sunday that we as a society need to get more in that mindset that something wasn't horrible. It just wasn't for you. Like, it just wasn't it wasn't for you. It wasn't your kind of comedy. It wasn't your kind of thing. It
shouldn't be your job to try to tear it down because you didn't like it.
Right. Because again, really, that's not even like a fair term to use, right? For certain things. Because it's like, why didn't you like it? Oh, I didn't think it was funny. So it wasn't that it was horrible. It just wasn't your brand of comedy. So when you use the word horrible, you have people out there that are like, well, if it's that horrible, I'm not going to watch it. No, it wasn't that it was horrible. They just didn't think it was funny. And that happens often. That shit's just not funny. So, you know, it's no biggie. But to just tarnish it, and it's like, well, how far did you get? 2 episodes. There's 2 seasons. What do you mean you only got 2 episodes? Like, give it 4 at least to let it sit in a little bit. So to me, I said, I'm going to try to use that more.
That happened to me with Peaky Blinders. I saw 3 episodes and I was done. Then everyone's like, oh, you should watch it. It's good. I'm like, you sure? Because I watched 3 episodes. It did not work.
Joe's like, I gave it a shot, and it was.
I think what really pushed me in was like Tom Hardy was like, he's in it later. I'm like, oh, really? I'll try it. And I watched it again, and I actually did. And I like it. I like it a lot now. But at the time, I was like, eh.
That's what I'm saying. And look, you could have been in a different mindset at that time. You could have been in a mindset of like, I don't really want big story-driven shit right now. It's just so many things that hit when people watch shows. That's why I always say it's good if you weren't sure about a show to give it a break and then just go back, right? Like sometimes for a lot of people, it's bad when a show's overhyped, right? Because it just generates too many expectations and then it doesn't meet it for you. So sometimes that's why I said I never regret watching Game of Thrones when I did, because I think if I had watched it when it was as super mega hyped as it was, I would have put wild expectations on that show and it wouldn't have lived up for what I wanted. But when you literally threatened my life if I didn't watch that show, I went in like, okay, Joel's just telling me it's a good show, it's a solid show, watch it. So I watched it and I was just, okay, I have no unrealistic expectations. I'm watching it and I'm like, this is fucking beautiful. Like, this is brilliant. This is great television. So sometimes it just takes a certain person threatening your life, or it just takes a different mindset.
The right motivation.
That's it. Yeah, that's the term. Right motivation. Sorry. So we talked about it a little bit before, but I want to talk about it now, Joel. The Marvels and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania have swapped spots. The Marvels will now be July 28th, 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania will now open February 17th, 2023. I am very curious if this was a narrative move. I know a lot of people are suggesting that the Marvels is not as far along as they would have liked it to have been, but Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is. And to me, I believe that because remember, that's what we were told about She-Hulk and Moon Knight. It was supposed to be swapped. We were supposed to get one before the other. But they wanted to do
Marvel was done forever, and like they got pushed to like the middle.
They got pushed in between them. So I'm like, this isn't unheard of. But my question to you is, take logic out of it, right? Is it possible that this move was a narrative move? Like maybe there's something in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3 that narratively is closer to where the story is heading, and the Marvels is more galactic. So it's not really multiverse or time or Kang. It's more bigger galactic shit. So you can pass it on because it doesn't really have that much to do with where we are narratively right now. Or do you think it's just as simple as one was further along than the other?
It could be that. It could be a narrative thing. It could be just because it could be something that involves the shows that like a certain show won't be ready in time, so they gotta push and it connects and it's like, all right, well, we gotta move that back to then. And like you said, it could be just progress on the film on the movie, and it's just like Marvels are farther behind than Quantumania, and then Quantumania's done, so just put it up front. And it's not gonna change anything. If it doesn't change anything, just move it up.
Right, just swap it. Yeah, just swap it.
It's not that serious. So it's like, I'm not worried. It's cool.
Right, I'm with you. I wasn't worried either. I was just really curious if maybe, and again, we have to wait till after Thor: Love and Thunder to get a better concept of where the MCU is at the time. But I was really hoping that it was maybe something narrative wise. Like I was really getting excited for the idea that maybe there's something coming Kang related. That it's like, all right, well, we need to move this closer because we are further along with this narrative that we're pushing. So that was just a thought. It's out there, but just a thought I had. Now this I'm really excited about because of you, April and Autumn, I've been watching more so of these kid shows. So now I'm really excited for John Stamos to be voicing Tony Stark in season 2, Spidey and His Amazing Friends. I didn't know that was a show. I now have to check that shit out.
Yeah, definitely is.
So
Disney Plus.
I will be checking that out. Have you seen that show before?
I've seen a little bit. I don't pay attention to it. I know Autumn watched it, but I haven't really paid attention. I've watched a couple episodes.
Okay. All right. Well, now I'm very interested to hear what a John Stamos Tony Stark sounds like. So I will definitely be checking that shit out. I did get a chance to finish the Pacific Rim animated series. The new season, it's really fucking good, bro. It's really, really, really fucking good. I love that show so fucking much. If that show if that show gets canceled, that'll kill a part of me, bro. It really will. I really love what they've done with that show. Because it brought a new oomph to Pacific Rim. It felt like that second movie was a little dry. It was starting to get stale, and this brought a whole new life to it. So I really appreciate it. And what the animation can do that the movies couldn't really sink their teeth into is the main character isn't the robots. It's the actual people. So you're getting a deeper dive into the people, and you're seeing it translate into the actual Jaegers. Because remember, they have to have a mental bond in order to work the said Jaegers.
Yes, they do.
So it makes more sense to get a better understanding on the individual characters, so that when they blend, it's more so like, okay, I see why they blend. They just had sex under the bleachers. I get it. They're one now. Like it just makes more sense. So it's a great story, and I'm really proud of what they've done with this series. I hope it immediately gets greenlit for a season 3. So you were saying you haven't seen season 1 yet, or you haven't?
I've seen season 1. I haven't seen season 2 yet.
Okay,
I've been slacking on my anime type shows lately, primarily because I'm so tired.
I was about to say, I want to shoot you some bail. I'm not going to call it slacking. I'm going to speak up for you. I don't call it slacking. Television right now is just in its apex. There's just so much good shit out that it's like, well, something has to take a back seat, right? Like something just obviously has to take a back seat. I think the best time for you, Joel, will be midsummer, where it's more movies than shows. So you usually see your movies on like Thursdays or Fridays. So you see that, and then it gives you the weekend if you want, or if you're able to break down some shows. So once Miss Marvel is done, you get that kind of small break before they announce, obviously, I believe the season 2 of What If, to be into the summer, maybe early fall. But I think that'll be your nest egg of time right there, the middle of that summer, mid-June, early July. Where you could really start to dive into some of this other shit. Because I don't know what shows, like big shows, are coming out during the summer, really. So I'm like, you should have some of that freedom. I do know right when I thought like, oh, okay, I got a break, the fucking Kevin Bacon and Aldous show comes out in June, season 3. So I'm like, shit, I get a small breather before that show comes out.
What show is that? Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, Kevin Bacon and Aldous Hodge, if I'm saying his name right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
So I'm like, oh shit, I got to get ready for that. Yeah, so I got to get ready for that. All right, so we didn't talk about this last time, but the spinoff for John Wick called Ballerina, starring Anna, will begin filming this summer. How excited are you for that?
Anna de Armas?
Mm-hmm. I always fuck up her name, so I try not to be disrespectful.
When people don't know who the fuck Anna is, who is Anna?
You should know. The only person that has that beautiful face, that is the only Anna that should pop up when you think the name Anna. But yes.
De Armas. It's not hard. De Armas.
De Armas. You know what it is? You know you know what my problem is? No, you know what my problem is? And I swear to God, I get this from just being an American. Whenever I see a name of a different language, I try to say it in said language in my head, and then it just translate that when I verbally say it. So it comes out really fucking bad. So now I'm just like, all right, if I just say the first name, maybe I can just get away with that. And here comes Joel. No, say the full name, motherfucker. And I'm like, no, my brain can't handle it.
Very generic name.
No, Ana de Armas. So are you excited for the Ballerina?
Yeah, anything that's connected to the fucking John Wick, I'm excited for. Like, I've been meaning to go through the John Wick movies again, but they're like not on. Well, they weren't. I don't know if they are now. They weren't on streaming, so it's like, damn.
Peacock.
I do want to buy them, but one day they're on Peacock again.
Yeah, they're on
Peacock. They weren't there.
Wait, were they taken off?
At one point, they were. Yeah.
Oh, maybe they're not. I just remember I did the mini marathon of it.
I remember it being on Peacock. I just don't know if they're there because the last time I checked, they weren't there.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's not. I haven't gone back to check again.
I know that they're gonna Lionsgate, right?
Yeah.
They're going to Roku, like exclusively.
Oh, why? Why Roku?
I know, stupid. I don't get it.
God damn it! I don't want to have to. Do you have Roku?
I do, but not in my room. Like I have that like in the living room.
All right. Well, figure out that information and send it to me. I'm not getting Roku.
That's the thing. Like, Roku, I thought was just like the Fire Stick. I didn't know is there a TV? Is there a NAS for that?
I guess they're telling us it is. I guess unless they're telling us like you exclusively get it when you buy the said Fire Stick. you get 3 John Wick movies when you buy the Fire Stick.
Yeah, all Lionsgate IP. I don't get it because I have a
that's very confusing.
Where do I watch it? Like,
yeah. So we'll figure that out because there's no need for both of us to have it. We've navigated streaming services between each other very well. So it's like,
everyone asks like, "Are you watching it?" Like, well, I'll say this: yes.
It's like, oh, Joel, you have this? Me, no, but I am watching it. How? Don't worry about that. Don't ask questions. It's just being watched. It's okay. We do have an official title for Expendables 4, which is just Expendables with a 4 instead of an A. So just Expendables 4. Like, I don't know why they structured the title like that. It's just Expendables 4. Like, you putting the 4 instead of an A, still like, I don't say Exportables, right? It's still Expendables.
That's weird. Absolutely weird.
It is just like, that is
I'll look forward to it because I love those movies. I'm a sucker for a classic action movie, especially with those cats. So like, I'm down for whatever, but yeah, it's a weird.
Very weird. It's like saying, hey, the title for Iron Man 4 is Iron Man, but instead of an A, it's a 4, and it's like, well, do you want me to pronounce it that way, Iron for Men? Like, or is it just Iron Man 4? Like,
yeah,
it's very confusing when they do that.
It's Expendables 4, but without putting the 4 at the end. It's in the
Right. It's like when you see it, it makes sense. But when someone goes, oh, what are they calling it? And you're like, Expendables 4, but the A is out and there's a 4 in it. They're like, that what?
Expendables.
Expendables. That's what it is. Look, I am a diehard Jason Statham fan. There is very few things in this world that man will do that I will not see. So you got me. All right. Are you a Hunger Games fan at all?
The early ones. I didn't like really the way it ended.
Are you at all interested in this this prequel?
I'll watch it.
It's called Hunger Games: Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it will arrive in theaters November 17th of next year.
Okay. I mean,
and it takes place way before I think Katniss, is that her name?
Katniss Everdeen. Yes.
Yeah, It's way before that.
I'm down. It's an interesting concept, so I'm down to see whatever the fuck they put together. I did like those movies in the beginning until it became something else, but I dug it. I dig it.
I will honestly tell you this: Hunger Games came out around the same time as Divergent, and another movie that was just like that, and I was just like, this all kind of feels like it's calling to a teenage demographic, and I'm just not with any of this shit. And it was right off of me being hoodwinked and swindled into watching all the Twilight movies. So I was just burnt out of that
formula. I watched those movies too.
I was burnt out of that formula. So I've never given any of those movies a chance. I've heard from some people Divergent was great. I've heard from some people Hunger Games was great. I believe you all. At some point, when I get all those movies in one spot, I'll give it a shot. But I have not seen any of those movies, so I have not a negative
fan of the Divergent series. But I only saw one, so I can't really talk to the other movies. When it came, and I did like oh man, what was the other one? Maze Runner. That was pretty cool.
That's the other one. Yeah. When I heard those 3 movies, I'm just like, all right. What are they about? And they're like, obstacles. I'm like, all 3? Yeah. I'm like, okay, no fucking way. You maybe can get one franchise out of me, but not all 3. And by the time Twilight had ended was when those franchises had just started. And I was just like, no, that tired me out. I can't. Vampires, werewolves, all that. I can't. None of this. I
mean, I wish they were supernatural. I probably would like them more.
Joel's like, all right, do you transform into a horse, a wolf, something? No. First thing Joel said was, wait, the second one's called Songbirds and Snakes? Does anyone turn into songbirds or snakes? No? Thought I'd ask.
There's a survival. That's the best part of those Hunger Game with the survival parts where they do here, die. Now just kill each other. Like, that was pretty interesting.
Joel's like, you have my attention. Okay.
I did. Like, I liked it until it became like a rebellion story. I'm like, oh, well, now I don't, it's not as interesting.
Joel's like, not as many of you are being Spartan kicked into a pit to kill each other. So I'm going to go ahead and go.
Now it's just guns and shit. Like, it changed. I didn't watch Different enough to know. I don't even know what the story's about. Maze Runner, I only saw the first one too, but I actually enjoyed the first Maze Runner. That's really it. That's all I got on that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have a bad word to say about any of those franchises because I never tried them. So it's more so just I was burnt out. It seemed like they were heading to the same formula that I just left. So I very much wanted to just take a break. And by that time, I had forgotten about these fucking movies. So I never went back to them. But if I can get them all on one streaming service, anyone out there, if you know the singular streaming service that any of these franchises are on, I'll give it a shot one weekend where I don't have anything to do. I'll give it a shot. Tom Hiddleston says Loki season 2 should start filming in about 6 weeks and adds that lots of questions will be answered. That doesn't appease me at all, Tom Hiddleston. You want to know why? Because Loki answered questions and then had the nerve to end with creating new questions. That's why I don't trust you. So I'm like, you'll answer the questions that we believe this movie this coming week, or this week rather, will answer a few of. So you'll then answer a few more questions, but then the question is, do you create more questions? And that's my problem. But Joel, how excited are you about season 2 of Loki being sooner rather than later? We'll probably get this top of next year.
I hope, actually. I really, surprising to myself, I enjoyed Loki a lot.
Surprising to both of us, Joel. We have been leading the bandwagon of, if your villain has lived long enough to become a hero, you have done something horribly wrong.
I never needed him to be that. I didn't. I didn't even have his own show. Like, it's over.
Yeah.
But whatever. I get it now. I 100% because the show was really good. I actually made me like Loki, which is insane. Like, I actually felt for him. I actually enjoyed like that version of Loki, the good Loki, with the TVA and Mobius and like Sylvie. So I'm like, okay, you made me like these characters, and I don't know where the fuck is happening now. So like, if we don't see them in Doctor Strange at all, then we're gonna be very curious as what they've been up to the last couple.
Yeah.
I want to say time, but like, because time doesn't really exist where they're at now. I don't even know what to call
it. Joel's like, whatever that thing is that you're in over there, what's happening over there. Well, see, this now leads to my question to you, Joel. If this show starts filming in 6 weeks and it's ready by December, January, what comes out in February? Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That has who? Kang the Conqueror. That then fits to what I was saying about it being a narrative switch rather than anything else. So to me, because remember, Loki has to pick up on where they left off, which was Kang. So I'm like, I would assume if it starts shooting in 6 weeks, we're only in May, right? And that came out like a few days ago, a day or two ago. So I'm like, okay, if that's in May, you should be done filming by September, right? Everything should be wrapped up to be put into production come December, January. I mean, to be put out to release come December, January. And if that happens, why can't we get it to air in January and it ends right as Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania begins? Then you did that for a narrative change, not really anything else. So that's why I said that is a possibility that's why they did it. Not saying it's the exact reason, but things are starting to add up now. You saw you a Top Gun fan?
When I was younger, yeah, I liked Top Gun.
Are you excited for this new one coming out?
It looks good, and I've heard good things, so yeah, I'm excited.
Okay, I never I don't think I've ever seen that. I might have. I might have and just don't remember it.
Just warning you now. It's an 80s
I don't
movie.
hate all 80s movies.
That
I hate
feels
the
like an
formula.
80s movie.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I hate the formula of 80s movies. So if it feels like it's an 80s movie, then
well, not an 80s
movie.
It feels like an 80s action movie. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I could still live with that.
It's a Tom Cruise movie from the 80s. There you go.
Then I believe I'll love it. I believe I'll love it. There's very few things that Tom Cruise I don't like outside of the Mummy.
My friend is very similar in age to you. Doesn't like old shit either. He enjoyed the original Top Gun, so you might like it.
Yeah. All right, I'll give it a shot. Are you excited at all for this new Avatar? Because I don't want to not talk about that. So, it seemed like we're being disrespectful. Are you at all excited for it?
I wouldn't say excited. I'm intrigued. I've been disconnected from it for too long for me to be excited. I'm more intrigued as to what they got to show me now because I enjoyed the movie. Like I liked it, and it was a beautiful movie, like visually. But I don't. It's been so long that I don't remember anything. So like I need to be reminded why I enjoyed the movie.
I remember not enjoying this movie like at all. It's not a bad movie. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It just wasn't for me. Like I said, I always say it was just Pocahontas with blue people. That story seemed eerily similar. But no, I'll never.
Avatars and Pocahontas.
Well, that would be the only change. Story-wise is what I'm referring to. It felt very similar to Pocahontas. But if someone comes to me and goes, "But Jawan, it was a beautiful movie," I won't argue that. I won't argue that at all. But narratively is where it just lost me, to where I was just like, well, I didn't see it in 3D at the time. So I saw it on like when it came on HBO, like on TV. So I'm watching it regular.
I saw it by myself in theaters. It was like
yeah, I never saw it in theaters. So I'm watching it. I'm like, I can tell that it's beautiful, and I can tell how people that see it in theaters or in 3D view it that way. But narratively, I didn't like it. I really didn't.
It's an environment. It's like an environmental movie. It's like these outsiders come in. It's more like Ferngully than fucking Pocahontas.
Well, where I compared it to Pocahontas was more so it was just essentially just a white man invading the native land. Then one guy, you're John Smith, then falling in love with your said Pocahontas, and then trying to blend the two worlds together. Now, there's a lot of that Pocahontas movie that they left out because it was a children's movie, but that's a way darker story. But the formula of that is where I'm comparing it to, not literally beat for beat of the story, but essentially just the natives.
Service though by calling it Pocahontas, but
I won't argue that, Joel. But you know what? You know what I'll do? I think this is one of the movies that I'll allow you to go see. And if you're like, Juwan, it was actually pretty fucking
You're gonna allow me?
I'll give it a shot. No. You know what I meant. I meant I will just go based off of what you tell me. Because if you're like, nah, it was the first one. So that doesn't mean you'll like the second one.
No, I can't imagine I won't, but yeah. True.
No, I'm just saying I'll wait till what you say, and then it's like, all right, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. And if you're like, nah,
it's one of those movies that was overhyped in your head, and so you went in not wanting to like it anyway.
No,
because you didn't go opening day. It was one of those things you watched on TV. You're like, yeah, overrated. That's basically it.
I'm trying to think, because look, if it happened today, I know me today. Yes, that's 100% my mindset today. I don't know if that was my mindset then. I think it was very much just like a lot of people were saying you got to see it in 3D, and I'm not a 3D guy. So it was like there's no fucking way I'm seeing it in 3D.
I saw only one movie I enjoyed in 3D. One. And I even saw Doctor Strange in 3D, and that was all right.
I think I saw Drive Angry in 3D, and I really appreciated that.
Drive Angry. I saw
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay. Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
I really enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know if it was because the visuals or if I just enjoyed the movie as a whole, but I can say I enjoyed that movie.
One of the best use of 3D. I saw Dread in 3D.
Oh, no arguments here. I never saw it in 3D, and it's one of my biggest regrets. That and the Cara Delevingne movie with Fuck, can't remember his name.
Thousand Worlds.
Yes. Valerian. I never saw that in theaters. I didn't even see it in theaters.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh man, I really enjoyed that movie. I know a lot of people hate it, but I enjoyed that movie for what it was.
It looked beautiful, like visually, but
yeah, I love that world. Yeah, I loved it a lot. Rihanna was really awesome in that movie too.
I couldn't get anybody to go watch Dread with me. It was frustrating. I'm like, this is bullshit.
So that would have been one of the funnest days of us going to see Dread together and really appreciating how they nailed
3D.
Dread.
I actually went to see it in 3D. I think I didn't have a choice, and I ended up liking it. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is the best movie I've seen ever.
I could just picture you sitting down, starting to hate watch it because it's 3D, and then going, I like it. Okay.
They used 3D really well in that movie.
They really fucking did.
I'll give them credit.
All right. So Quiet Place 3 will now be called The Quiet Place Day 1. This film is a prequel of the first two films. I'm excited for it. I believe this is the first one John Krasinski will not be part of. But I'm still excited for this franchise.
He was, but he wasn't the main character of the second one. I haven't seen the second one.
No. I meant from a writer-director standpoint. Yeah, I meant from a writer-director standpoint, not actually physically in it. But yeah, no, those are some really good movies. I still to this day believe that A Quiet Place should have did exactly what what was that Matt Reeves horror movie that he did? Where it was just the camera. It was just like from a handheld camera.
Oh, Cloverfield?
Yes. I thought it should have did what Cloverfield did, which was we did one, we ended there. Because it's such the mystery of it. They ended up doing another Cloverfield down the line, and it ruined the entire mystique of what the first one was, not knowing
second movie was
what
good.
It was. I appreciated it for what it was, but what I loved about Cloverfield was not knowing anything about what the fucking monster was, how it got anything. And that's what I loved about A Quiet Place, not really knowing where any of it came from, how day one was, anything like that. Some movies, only very few. I like the mystery of it. I like the not knowing. It's what adds to the legend of it. So like when we show it 10, 15 years down the line and they're like, what was part two? There was never a part two. That was it. How great was that shit? But I feel like the more you add to it, the more you're susceptible of it starting to become too much, right? So I'm just like, that's my biggest fear for them, is that coming out of this, if this does great, then they're like, all right, let's do a part 3. And it's like, you're just doing a lot now. Like, there's no more questions I have. You've now showed me how it started. I saw the middle. I don't need an end for it. Just stop doing it. You know what I'm saying? But are you excited for this prequel?
Sure. Again, I haven't seen the second one yet, so I'm behind.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I want to see it. I just keep forgetting. I know it's there to watch. I'm just lazy.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Right.
Paramount
Plus. That's an app I only use currently for Halo. So
well, you were using it for the Jeremy Renner show, right?
I haven't started that yet either. You know what I mean?
Shit! Oh damn! Okay, all right.
And I might watch the new Star Trek show because it looks interesting. But I say that I start every Star Trek show and I'm like, this is just boring. I stop watching.
I've always thought that, man. Like I said, the most fun I've ever had with Star Trek was J.J. Abrams.
It's the movies.
Outside of that, it's just it doesn't do it for me.
But at least the new show looks like it has characters I recognize. So that's a start.
Oh, like Spock and Kirk and whatnot. Gotcha.
Right. So I'm like, I'm interested. I mean, you might catch me there. But the other, I don't know. I need to. We'll see.
We'll see how it pans out. But yeah, I definitely hope that you're able to check out A Quiet Place 2 sometime soon. Because it was well crafted. Again, I'm a firm believer of the mystery is what really sold that first movie for me. So I kind of wanted them to just hang on to that.
I really like that movie.
All right, so the next Mission Impossible movie will be titled Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. So by this name, do you kind of get the fear that maybe Ethan won't make it out of these two movies, Joel?
I don't think Tom Cruise is into dying.
I don't think so either. I don't think he's allowed to. I think that's the blood oath of his religion he made.
In his contract, I think he's allowed to die. I'm not that worried about it.
No, but I do know that you, like myself, are a big fan of these Mission Impossible movies. So are you excited? And they're bringing back a lot of characters from the very first Mission Impossible.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that first one.
Yeah. So one of the not lieutenants, I don't know what one of his bosses in the very first movie that was in no other movie is returning. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, a few earlier familiar faces. I still think the second one is the weakest of them all, like horribly bad. The first one then is just like, but the third one was needed. The third one was like a shot in the ass, and then they have not letting up since.
Kind of, that's exactly how it went. It was one good, two, third was like, oh, not bad.
Okay. Like then you got Ghost Protocol.
Rise. Yeah, exactly. Right. Just boom, 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 boom. Like, okay, they know what they're doing.
which is a little disheartening because it's like, all right, you hit your stride. Now you're talking about ending it. It's like, fuck. But I am curious. Right. I am curious though, Joel, what the future of Mission Impossible looks like. Because look, he did those what was those fucking movies? Those other action movies he did that what's his name from Titans took over.
Say it again. What?
The guy from Titans that played Hawk. What's the show he took over that Tom Cruise did the movie of?
John Reacher?
Jack Reacher. Okay, so see how, like, I've not watched it, but you've watched it. My dad watched it.
So good.
Right. And you guys rave about it, but see how we needed to see what a new face looks like under that same umbrella. So I am very curious what Mission Impossible looks like when there's no Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt. Like, what does the future of Mission Impossible look like? Because I would like to see it get dwindled down into a series. You know, even if it's a prequel, like I would like a prequel series. How did this even fucking start? Like, that'd be really interesting.
A young Tom Cruise. Not like he wasn't young when he started.
I was gonna say, has he aged since the first movie? Like, could he not just reprise his role?
That's the only movie that you can tell the difference between old and young Tom Cruise, because he was still practically young in the first one. But after
I'll tell you this.
Exact same.
I was about to say, it is only that much of a difference between Mission Impossible 1 and what you'll be seeing him as in this upcoming movie. It's not drastic. All right, let's see what else we got here. I don't really want to talk about that because it might spoil it for some people who want to literally know nothing about it.
Okay.
No, just what they were talking about what they saw from Halloween. Like at CinemaCon, you know, really fucked up that Olivia Wilde was served child custody documents while she was presenting CinemaCon. That was really fucked up. But I stand by what I said. They said that Jason didn't know, and I take him at his word. But I also believe that Jason Sudeikis is a fucking boss, and definitely said, "All right, hey, what are you up to right now? Oh, you're doing CinemaCon." Oh, okay. Why? No reason. As soon as he hangs up, hey, serve her that shit. Now, right fucking now. Right now.
It's not like a Ted Lasso thing.
It's a Jason Sudeikis thing for sure. And I believe to sweeten it, he was like, is Harry Styles there too? He is. Yeah. Serve it, sir. Yeah, serve it.
Was that's what it is? She left him, right? Or some shit?
They separated, but she is dating Harry Styles currently.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Awkward.
That's why I thought it was very interesting that the most intense sexual scene we're about to get in the movie, she not only directed the movie, but she's in that motherfucker. I guarantee you, she was just like, don't fucking touch him like that. All right. I'm just saying. All right, fuck you up. Fuck you up. Don't maybe fuck you up, Florence. We didn't say this before, but the name of Avatar is Avatar: Way of Water. And as you can assume, it will be taking place in water.
Not all of it in water, but hopefully, you know.
There'll be water there. There will be water there.
I do look forward to seeing what he does with water, because he's a groundbreaking director. So
Yeah, the man knows how to cross a Billy. All right, Joel. So this is to you, not to me, because I haven't kept up with it at all. So it means virtually nothing to me. But Melissa Mcbride has walked away from the Walking Dead spinoff series, which also starred Norman Reedus. How you feeling about that?
But they ruined the ending.
Somebody somewhere is like, I wonder if they survive, and then they watch this and they're just like, well, fuck. Well, thank you guys. I assume for her it was probably creative differences. They were probably wanting to do things with her character that she just, wasn't amenable to.
I think she was just tired at this point. She's like, I've been Carol forever. I was old in the first season.
I was gonna say, yeah, she was pulling a Morgan Freeman. She was old for forever.
I'm over it.
He's like, yeah, no, thank you. It's like, but we'll give you money. Nah, some things aren't worth money. I
got money. You gave me all the monies.
It's like we did 36. We did 3,600 seasons of The Walking Dead. I have money. Like I've been a series regular for all of them. I'm good there.
The series is over. I think it's going on. It's finishing up. It's on the final season, and now there's like 2 spinoffs, 3, I think. On top, there was already 2.
Yep.
And I think
Fear the Walking Dead,
and World Beyond, which had 3 seasons before it ended.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even know it had started, and it had 3 seasons. And now it has 3 more shows coming out. One is now going to be just a Daryl solo, which was supposed to be Daryl and Carol. Mm-hmm. One is going to be Negan and Maggie, which is crazy because at the time when they announced that, I'm like, don't they fucking hate each other?
Like you're spoiling so much for me, guys.
Yeah, I'm like, and I just finished season 10, so I'm waiting for 11. When they finish, I'll finish it. And then there's a anthology series coming out.
Right. And then we've heard no reports on the movie if they've moved forward.
And nothing yet on the movies that are supposed to feature Rick. So
right. So it's like, well, Rick better be in this fucking final season, or what the fuck?
Hope he shows up at the end.
like what the? Where did we just sit through this whole time?
I thought you were dead, Rick.
He's like, I'm back, bitches. All right, this one I couldn't wait to talk about with you. Kevin Feige told the audience at CinemaCon that he and his team are headed to a Marvel Studios creative retreat where they will plan out the next 10 years of content. Now, I will say this wholeheartedly. No, I'm sorry. I take that back. I will neither confirm nor deny the concept that me and Joel are trying. No, me and Joel are trying our best to make it out to that retreat. I have already bought my costume to be a Cabana Boy. I'll be the only unattractive Cabana Boy, so they'll spot me a mile away. Like, they'll look over and go, "Hey, you, me? Yeah, the unattractive one. Yeah, no, we spotted you. You gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta get out of here. You're ruining the rest of the beautiful Cabana Boys. You gotta get out of here." And I'm like, I'll do the dance or whatever. No, you gotta go. So I wanted to ask you, Joel, what are some of the things you want to see or characters that have not been announced that you want to see pop up in the course of these next 10 years?
Good question.
It could be a storyline. It could be a character. Just something you want to see pop up.
Well, that's the thing. Like we're at a point where we've seen things I never imagined we'd see ever. Never. Like ever. It's all like shocking that we've gotten to this point. To the point where we're 14 years now since Iron Man 1.
Yes. Yep.
And it's like 14 years, Joanne.
And almost 30 movies.
Almost 30 movies. Now we have shows to go with those movies.
Yep.
And we're still telling stories. And they're not only just beginning. If you know the Marvel comic books, they've only just touched little parts of where they can go, because we have just got the X-Men back. We just got the Fantastic Four back. That's their own IP. They've been living in their own world for the longest time. They're going to merge that into the MCU. And that's a whole new universe to fuck with within the MCU and have it, work within what they already established. That's why it was so sad to see Cap and Iron Man go, because you're like, I really want to see those characters interact with the characters they've interacted with in the comic books, and now they're not going to get a chance. And it sucks, but it's his life, and it can only be a character for so long in reality. Right. The comic books, but you can live it forever in the comic books, but when it comes to these movies, they got to be somewhat realistic in that regard. So we have a new Captain America. We have Iron Man legacy characters like Ironheart in the future, War Machine currently. So they're represented in different ways. You know, the legacy lives on in different characters. So like we're seeing that. We're seeing characters pass on their mantles to other characters to go forward, and we're seeing new characters like the X-Men, like the Fantastic Four, like the Midnight Suns, which they're obviously setting up. And whatever they do in space, because you have the Guardians 3 coming out, and whatever they set up in the new movie. There's so much of the space part of Marvel that we still haven't, touched yet. Like with the Silver Surfer and the Guardians of the Galaxy. I was telling you the other day, someone asked me like, "What do you want to see?" I'm like, everything I wanted, I've already seen it. Just now, I gotta like take deep cuts and go. Okay, I want to see the Starjammers. I want to see the Royal Guard from the what are they called? Oh my God. Whatever, I can't remember the name, but the Royal Guard. They're known as the Royal Guard. The Lalandras, that race. That is a deep cut. Those stuff like that I haven't seen, never thought I'd see, but what haven't we seen with Marvel, and they're willing to go anywhere at this point.
Right. So. And the better question is not only what haven't we seen, what haven't they announced that we're about to see? Right?
Yeah.
So it's like they make it really difficult because you kind of say to yourself, like, all right, we don't have this. And then tomorrow Marvel's like, all right, guys, guess what you're getting? This. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, I didn't think you could hear me. You heard me. Okay. All right. I'm excited.
We're in the middle of Moon Knight. We're in a Moon Knight TV series right now. Ms. Marvel's coming up.
Yep.
We're getting Mighty Thor in live action.
We're getting Werewolf by Night.
We're getting the Werewolf by Night. Elsa Bloodstone. We're gonna get Elsa Bloodstone.
We're about to get Nova soon. We've
already heard reports of Nova. So
yeah. And shout out to James Gunn, because I don't believe that they'll be wearing it in Guardians 3, even though part of me desperately hopes that we do. But the set photos of Star-Lord, he has this comic accurate suit. I never thought I would see that. Because he just seems like it's not a uniform thing with them. So because it's a Christmas special, I thought it was just like a playful thing he was doing.
They're filming both. I don't know. How can you tell which one's which is the question.
Well, the person who had posted the set photos was saying that it was they could be wrong. I'm just saying because I don't know. I just assumed they might have known where they got the shit from. So it could be, but if it is Guardians 3, I'll be ecstatic. If James Gunn ends this Guardians universe under his tenure, and I get the elemental guns and the accurate suits, I will. The only reason I
say it might be Guardians 3 is because with those set photos came a whole bunch of like half human, half animal looking creatures, and that just screams high evolutionary. You know what I mean?
That is fair. That is very fair. Yeah, that's very fair. Okay, I'll give you that. Well, then that makes me even happier. Now if you can just
practical effects,
top it off with the fucking elemental guns, and I will say James Gunn has given me literally the largest nerdgasm I think I've ever had, because I've always loved the Guardians of the Galaxy, and for me, they've always been in uniform. So I'm like, can they at least be in uniform if I can't have like the elemental guns? I think when I say that, a lot of people are like, who cares? I'm like, well, they're just visually cooler than what you see now that he does with those guns. So yeah, I'm like, it's just like, way cooler.
Either. The game did a good job with them. But
so that made it even worse for me, because I'm like, well, the game was like, no, we're definitely doing elemental guns. They're fucking dope.
But it wasn't all. Dope. You had to evolve it, and then they like shapeshift. They're weird, but it was cool.
Yeah, in the comics, it was something he always had to adjust. Like you have to adjust it per use. You can't just like, all right, fire, and then it's just fire. So it's like, that's what I'm saying. It could always be something that he gains the tech to or whatever and just tinkers with. And it's like, oh, we fucking got the elemental guns.
Well, I mean, they could always add to it. I never understood why it was never something they couldn't use. It's not a big deal.
I'm with you. Yes.
They did I agree. In the first movie, when they were all dressed up like Ravagers, but they had like a suit, a uniform look.
Yes. I'm sorry. I'll be more specific. Them being in Guardians of the Galaxy uniform. Anything like what you saw Star-Lord in is the suits that I've always remembered, and that's what I wanted to see them in. And the fact that I'm getting it is just like beautiful, fucking beautiful. Because I'm like, the guy that gave me the Peacemaker costume can't tell me he can't do a proper Guardians fucking uniform.
Well, you gotta remember, like, no one gave a shit about the
Guardians. Oh no, I get it, but that's what I'm saying. I never thought I would see it. So seeing it is like, yes, you know.
For him, it's like, who's gonna bitch? No one knows who they are.
Jawan does. Fucking Jawan does, James Gunn. And you knew it enough to give it to me. And that's why I love you. Because I'm like, look, you could have said that about a lot of what Peacemaker did, but they fucking hit the nail on almost everybody in that fucking thing.
Well, that's probably a comic book he read. I don't know if he grew up more like as a big Guardians guy. He probably knew a lot of the characters. Because you gotta remember, fair. A lot of the original Guardians, they got a shout out.
Like no. I know it's not one of those deep cuts, but me knowing James Gunn, not knowing, but how he perceives himself is very much of a guy that goes back and does homework. So right. I very much believe, even if he wasn't the biggest Guardians fan, he did the homework enough. But look, if he's telling the story of their uniform was a journey, they had to earn that. I have no argument with that. Just as long as you did it is all I cared about. The who, the what, the why does not matter. You did it. That's all I care about. So I'm fine. I'm fine now. When I saw that shit today, I lost it. I said, oh my fucking gosh. Yes. And he looked so fucking epic in it. And I'm like, yeah, man, I've always thought that they could look great in these suits, man. So I'm very happy that we get to see it pan out. For me, what I want to see over the next 10 years, I'll just reiterate what I said Sunday. I want to see Norman Osborn. I want to see Norman Osborn in the MCU. I want to see the Dark Avengers, and I want him to have something to do with Armor Wars. Simple as that. That's one of the biggest things I want to see. Because look, Silver Surfer we know is coming, so to say that is like, well, you know that's coming. Galactus, we know that's coming. The Heralds, we know that's coming. And by the way, if I don't get Thor as a Herald, I will be very disappointed. I want a Herald Thor. I want that shit desperately. I really do. Because it's like, just visually, I always love the look of Herald Thor. So I'm like, I want that shit, man. I do. Especially if he's still alive by that point.
Odd love.
I want it.
The most random shit.
I want it. I want it, man. I fucking love that story. I love that look. It's actually, outside of Ultimates, it's my favorite Thor look. Is Ultimates, then it's that. And it's probably the look of All-Father Thor from the Gore run. Fucking love that. The patch, he took, what's his name, the Destroyer's arm. Like, I love that whole fucking look. The hammer looks a lot smaller than the rest of the Thors. Which, by the way, how far are you in that story? You finished that story yet?
I just read the main part of that story.
Oh, okay, no problem. So you saw the granddaughters?
The what?
The granddaughters, his granddaughters.
Whose granddaughters?
Thor's.
I don't think so.
Oh, damn. Did you see the time travel?
Yeah.
Okay, so you saw the time travel. Okay, let me ask you this. How did they defeat Gore?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's been a couple months now.
No. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make this sound like I'm calling you out. I just wanted to know how far you got in it. Because his granddaughters was hilarious. The introduction to that shit was hilarious. They thought he was hitting on them, right? So like they saw the younger Thor, and they realized it's like, oh damn, you look good. And then they were just like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Thor Odinson. And they were just like, oh my god, I tried to sleep with my grandfather. and that's when you as the reader is like, oh shit, that's crazy. But yeah, so the time travel of that story was Thor from past, present, and future all came together. And then it had one of the dopest parts in that comic run was when present Thor was able to take both of the Mjolnirs from present and future and use it to wield the Dark Force from Gore the God Butcher, and then use it to kill him. But what I love most about that storyline was what was the downfall of Gore the God Butcher was when he defeated all three of the Thors and became all powerful. He went back to his wife, and his wife said, "You're the god now. Like, we never have to worry about anything." And he snapped and killed her and said, "I am no god." And then that's when like his son saw him for who he really was. Right. And that immediately was the downfall of Gore the God Butcher. But that whole story was fucking epic. And it led right into War of Worlds, and then it led into Mighty Thor. Mighty Thor wasn't far from there.
No, that's after, because that's what it was like. Original Sin happened, and Nick told Thor that Gore was right, and that's when he gave up the hammer.
Yep.
Like,
that's when he got Jarnbjorn. Right, yeah, which was so weird. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I said I called that identity crisis.
Oh, that's 100% identity. But you know what confused me about that? We got Gore the God Butcher storyline, right? Where past Thor had Jarnbjorn, right? Present Thor had Mjolnir. Old Thor had future Thor had Mjolnir. Now, what was confusing about that was when Nick Fury whispered that in his ear, and he lost faith in himself and dropped the hammer, right? He then went to go get the weapon Jarnbjorn. But it's like, but you're present Thor. You're not past Thor. So it's like, did you see that hammer and then go, yeah, okay, I'll use that weapon. I remember that. Like, so much was confusing about that. Like, I just saw that weapon. Why is he going back to that? Give me a newer weapon then. That's why I said I didn't hate that he made the weapon he made in an Infinity War. I just hate the name that they gave Jarnbjorn. Why wouldn't you just call it that? Why'd you call it Stormbreaker? Like, I still don't understand that.
I don't either. That would have probably been better, but
yeah. But yeah, I'm really glad, Joel. I really want to thank you for reading up on that storyline, because you know how much me and AJ rave about. And you know what? Let me say this on air, because I dismissed it on air. So let me apologize on air. You were right. The monster in the trailer he's not a god, but I think he's a god's monster. I was saying he was Gore's monster. But that exact scene, right? But that exact scene is ripped right out of the fucking comic. Except there was no Korg. That is the only. Right. Yeah, that's the only thing. Adjustment. Yeah, that's the only adjustment. But visually, everything lines right up.
I remember that panel. It's hard to forget that panel.
It really is hard to forget that panel. Like, crazy they shit. Did a lot of great things with that story, and you were right. They introduced a lot of gods. That's like, I've never heard of you.
Exactly. The first question was like, who are they killing? Like, because I know so many. Like, I gotta see, like, who is he actually? He's a whole bunch of people I never heard of. Just gods from different planets.
Do you remember what started the whole thing?
What do you mean?
When Thor went to that planet of those aliens that were crying out for rain, but they didn't have a god.
Yeah.
And then he made it rain, and then he went to go see where their gods were, and that's when he saw Gore the God Butcher is back, and then that's when that snowfalled everything. But he had fought Gore the God Butcher in the past, which is why when he saw it, he knew what it was and what to look forward to. So a lot of that is really awesome, and that's why I said I think Taika can hit on a lot of the kind of big, bolder pieces of what that storyline was. Not everything, but I could see him going to a planet where there's no more gods. Because to me, I think the one thing we've always been robbed of Thor is what Thor means to the other realms, right? We've never really seen that. Like, what is Thor really the big fucking kahuna around the 9 realms? We never got to see that. So I'm like, now I would like to see that, and what we're expecting could possibly be his last solo movie, is that around the 9 realms, people know Thor's name. I know who Thor is. Yeah, that's a motherfucker right there. Yeah. I will say though, what Taika stole from the Gore the God Butcher line was he put the line in not Love and Thunder, in Ragnarok. The line of when Hela goes, and you're the god of what? And then you see Thor have his big moment. That was ripped right out of that Gore the God Butcher comic run, because Gore asked him that. Gore has him down, has him by the throat, and he goes, and you're the god of what again? And then Thor let it all rain down. And it was beautiful then, and it was beautiful when Taika did it. So now it's going to be really interesting to see what that big visual piece will be from this movie, Love and Thunder. Wow. But all right, just a few more things before we get out of here. Sam Richardson, Zoe Chow, and Tiffany Haddish return for the After Party Season 2 with Elizabeth Perkins, Zach Woods, Poppy Lou, Paul Walter Hauser, Anna Kokol, Jack Whitehall, and Vivian Wu also joining the cast. Now, I will say this. I blame Just Your Average Joe. Joe swore to me that this show was fucking hilarious. Joel, listen to me. I watched the whole season, not a few episodes, the whole season, and I laughed. Look at my hands. 3 times. 3 times in that entire season. I only laughed 3 times. I was so angry with Joe. I told Joe, he was already on thin ice for making me watch Friday the 13th, the fucking original. Like, you were on thin ice from that.
At least you got that out of the way. That's a classic.
No, that is something that
you watched it.
I still, in my heart, believe that I should have gone my whole life without ever having to see that fucking movie.
No.
That was a fucking disaster. And then what made it worse was I talked to him after when we were reviewing it. He was like, "Yeah, that was one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen." Like, and you fucking suggested this shit to me? Why would you do that?
Because you get it out of the way. You can say,
"Hell no,
I see."
Hell no. Future children of tomorrow, I will not be making you watch that piece of shit movie. I will be making you watch the 2016 or 2015 version of Jason. I'll have you watch that. Freddy vs. Jason. And Jason X. I have you watch those, but that original, I will never do that to you. But yeah, so it being greenlit for a season 2, I'll give it another shot. Maybe the writing gets better. But goddamn,
I saw the first episode. I enjoyed it. But I don't know. Apple won't let me watch it anymore again.
Oh shit! It won't. All right, I'll take a look at it. I don't know what's
wrong. It's not letting me watch.
All right, I'll take a look at it. I got you. I'll take a look at it as soon as we end. Chernobyl director Johan Rennick will direct the first 2 episodes of Dune prequel series on HBO Max. Quote: "The show is set 10,000 years prior and follows the Harkonnen sisters as they combat forces and establish the fabled section known as the Bene Gesserit." I guess I pronounced that right. I don't fucking
know. Bene Gesserit? I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
They say it a couple times in that movie.
Oh, no, they say it a lot in that movie. I just don't fucking remember how it sounded at all. I'm excited for this. Anything Dune. I said it before. I was a fan of the original Dune. I get how people think it's fucking boring. I'll never argue that. I enjoyed it.
I really liked the new Dune movie a lot.
Right. The new Dune movie was a fucking classic.
And I agree. I can understand people that think it's boring because it's slow, but it's so good.
And I think for me, it's me knowing the story of Dune. So I knew when he went story heavy that he was building up to action heavy. So when he gets to action, it showed you in the first how beautiful his action pieces are. So I'm like, when he turns it up a notch, no one should be complaining. But I get it. Story's not for everyone. That's why when I talk to people and they're like, I couldn't get into Ozark, I don't blame them. What? I don't blame them at all.
You can't get into Ozark.
I don't blame it. It's very story driven. Like, you have to be willing to just, like, it's not action. It's not everyone getting shot up. It's not any, it's just a story. Oh, dude, it's just a really great fucking story.
Fantastic.
I agree. Look, some people just can't, because it's very like this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I could get how someone says that. Again, I come from nothing but stories. I don't come from big action. I come from just story. So that's my thing. I just found out they have a Godfather series on Paramount Plus about how they were able to make the movie.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Fucking serious? I can't wait to dive into that shit. Especially with Dan Fogler playing Francis Fogler playing Francis Coppola. I can't wait to dive into this series, man. They have so many great actors in this series, so I can't wait to check it out. But yeah, so I'm excited for Dune. If anyone out there hasn't seen Dune, we suggest you do. And if you have seen it but didn't enjoy it, definitely watch this series because it will be more action driven. Those sisters don't play around. They're not for play. So You'll get all the action you want from this for sure. All right, Joel, I want to end this on this because I know me and you are extremely excited for this. HBO Max has ordered the Harley Quinn spinoff series Kite Man, which will be titled Noonans.
Noonans.
I don't know what that means.
The name of the bar.
Huh?
It's the name of the bar that they bought.
Oh, got you. Okay. I didn't remember that at all. Maybe if they would hurry up and give me season fucking 3, I could remember things.
I'm just saying, that's what, I don't know if they ever showed the bar. I just know that's what the name of the bar is in the show.
Oh no, they've showed the bar. Yeah, they've showed the bar. Well, the last season they showed the bar. Okay, all right, I got you.
He buys the bar. It's like fucking Cheers with supervillains.
Oh no, it's more so like how it should have ended when they did the villains bar. You remember that? Yeah. Okay, got you. So how excited are you for this? Me and you are big Kite Man fans from this show. Not the character in the comics, but just from this show. We're big Kite Man fans. Very random ass Batman villains.
But I'm excited because the character's funny. Obviously, it's a funny character. It became one of the more popular characters because of that stupid show.
Right.
So him leading a show with now dating Golden Glider, apparently. I do look forward to seeing how that all plays out. Stupid show. It's a ton of fun. So like it's always just gonna be another fun, stupid, funny show.
That's all I could ask for. But where I could really where I could really get excited for this is if I got a fucking season 3. Then I could really dive more into this because it's just like I miss these characters and I feel like I haven't seen them in so goddamn long. I'm just ready to dive back into that world. So hopefully we get an announcement soon.
Has been a minute since we've seen this show.
Right, like I'm not being dramatic, right? It feels like it's been a while.
I don't know. Being 100% great and good news with this. It's been in the ass. Not sure why it's been taking so long.
Yeah, me either. I asked you this before last week, but I'll ask you this again this week. What are you looking forward to in this finale of Moon Knight ahead of its release on this Wednesday?
What am I looking for in the finale of Moon Knight? I'm just looking forward to seeing some type of a good explanation for like why it happened. What happened. Like his personality is like. I want to see full blown Jake Lockley finally give it to me. Stop playing with me. Teasing me.
By the way, you and Jayla were right. When you rewatch it, when he was sitting down there with the bandage on his nose, that was Jake. That was 100% Jake.
If you watch that scene, even if it's not Jake yet, as soon as he says you were talking about the boy, and as soon as he picks his head up, he's not the same person anymore.
No. You can even hear from his dialect, how he was talking.
His accent sound different. His 100%. Mouth was like formed differently. It's weird. Everything was different. It felt different.
And you know what
never see him with the bandage again later either.
No, and you know what he seemed like? Something we have not gotten from Mark or Steven. He is certifiable. He seems actually batshit crazy, right? Because you look at Mark and you look at Steven, you're like, you don't think crazy when you look at them. Now, with the few seconds you got of what we assume could possibly be Jake, he seemed like he was why they needed to be in a mental institution. So I'm like, he does seem like, hey, right. I'm like, he seems the most crazy and the most dangerous. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. I can't wait to see how they explain that. And then if we actually do see Jake fully come out.
I hope so. Because like that felt like it was a sneak peek. So like hopefully, really hopefully. There's that. Is there a third costume? If there is a Jake, does Jake have his own costume?
I hope so.
I do want to see just more action with Moon Knight just before it ends. It would be nice to spend a little more time with him in the costume, both Mr. Knight and Moon Knight. I can't wait to see how they explain how I don't know how do you get out of the situation they're in. So it's a good way to end it that way because you're like, he's there and how the fuck? Like, I look forward to seeing how they explain that away, and hopefully I get some more closure with Layla and what I hope to see her, possibly
go Scarlet Scarab.
Correct. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, for me, I want to see Jake in the new suit. That's it. I want my classical suit, and I believe Jake will give it to me. I don't know how much we'll see the classical suit going forward. I think the suit that you see Mark suit up in is a suit that will be the go-to suit going forward. But as long as I get just a sprinkle of Jake in that accurate suit, I am GTG. But for me, like I said, this is a character that always leaves question marks in his comic runs. So I'm like, for me, I don't need nor do I want everything to be buttoned up by the end of this episode. I just want the series existing to make more sense. So if you explain why this series exists in this final episode, all the other questions can be answered later. I'm fine with that completely.
I wouldn't mind if it teased the Werewolf by Night.
Oh, fuck yes. I told you I would go bananas if Werewolf by Night helps him. Not defeat Arthur. Like, like they're fighting the minions and Werewolf by Night's helping him do that. And then, it's Arthur versus Steven, or not Steven, I'm sorry, Moon Knight one-on-one. If you watch the trailer that they just put out today, you get a lot of shots of Moon Knight. So I assume we'll get a shit ton of Moon Knight because almost all the shots that weren't in that hospital were of Moon Knight. And it looked fucking beautiful. I'm very interested in seeing the difference between chaos magic in what Arthur has is what I'm looking forward to the most. Because his chaos magic is purple and Agatha's magic was purple. And it looks like there's possibly portions of this Doctor Strange movie where Wanda's magic might be purple. So I am pretty curious on what is with the color. Is it something similar? Does it come from the same thing? Could you trace back the Egyptian gods to possibly the Darkhold? So I'm very curious where they're going with all of this. So I'm very excited to see that. And I do think that it is not a coincidence that Moon Knight ends literally the day before Doctor Strange comes out. So very curious to see if anything connects there. But that's all me and Joel got. Stay tuned, guys. We do have Marvel Cinematic Review this Wednesday, and that is the only other show coming out this week. It is a break for us until next week. Next Wednesday, though, we will be breaking down Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a live spoiler review. I want to give everybody the weekend to see it, however many times they want to see it, so that when we get to Wednesday, no one can go, "But you're doing a spoiler review already?" Yes. If you have not seen it between Thursday and next Wednesday, that sounds like a personal problem.
I don't feel bad for you.
I don't feel bad at all. I've given you too much time.
The whole weekend to watch this movie.
But me and Joel will be breaking it down next Monday on an all-new Much to Do About Nothing. So you'll hear our thoughts on it, and then you'll hear the entire GVN crew's thoughts on it next Wednesday.
I get my casting list right. Like, oh, this is right. This is wrong. This
yes. And
obviously bullshit.
What Joel will enjoy the most is he can debunk people. So like whoever said this person would be in it, you're full of shit. Whoever said that person would be in it. Yeah. So Joel's going to have a very fun weekend this weekend. But also Star Wars. This is Star Wars week. So I will find a way to do something Star Wars this Wednesday if anything big drops. So don't worry about that. But me and AJ are bringing back Star Wars Saturday next Saturday, leading up to Kenobi. Excuse me. So stay tuned for that. We got so much stuff coming you guys this way. Cannot wait. But till next time. Peace.